I saw him getting beaten up by my mother, by my father. He was being scolded constantly. He was being compared with me.
You yourself are so highly qualified, but you are not letting your children follow the same path.
It's a very, I won't say that this is something which came naturally to me. I would say this thing came out of sheer serendipity. Like, I honestly, when I started homeschooling my son, my firstborn, I didn't know.
Hi, my name is Munawwar Khan, and you are watching Control Plus Ed, where we discuss education in the era of AI and EdTech. Homeschooling has been around for some time and it has started gaining popularity recently. In United States alone, it has increased by 50%. But what does it involve exactly? Does it take some burden off the shoulders of the parents, or does it require even more effort? More especially, how is AI impacting homeschooling? What happens when we introduce generative AI and concepts like LLMs into homeschooling? To answer these very important questions, we have a very special guest in today's podcast, Amina Malik, who is joining us from all the way from Lahore, Pakistan. Amna is a psychotherapist and she is a mother and she is a homeschooling practitioner. She has been homeschooling her own children for almost 10 years. Amna, I welcome you to today's podcast.
Thank you so much, Munawwar. Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be on your show, on your podcast.
Thank you very much, and pleasure is all mine. So, Amna, we know that you also have your own podcast series as well, which is, by the way, going really amazingly, and it is growing. So, congratulations on that. Um,
Thank you so much.
Before we dive into the actual topic, how do you manage your own podcast and then homeschooling and everything? So, is it um, does it require a lot of time management, or actually homeschooling is helping you in achieving what you want to achieve?
Wow, it's a good question. Well, I think homeschooling is more like a lifestyle. Once you choose it and once you know why you are doing what you are doing, then it starts becoming easier. Obviously, like any other thing, any other worthwhile thing, it takes a lot of practice, it takes a lot of intentionality, and it takes a lot of planning. But yes, I think homeschooling is very much supportive of my own goals, the way I want to live my life, the way I want to take my family along. It really aligns with that. And I feel so privileged to homeschool my kids, I would say. But yes, it's tough. It's tough like any other thing. I won't say that it's easy. Nothing is easier.
So, if you could tell us about your homeschooling journey, and where did it exactly start? Like, how did you come across this concept? Especially, and please correct me if I'm wrong. I've heard about homeschooling mainly in Western societies, but in a country like Pakistan, where it is almost impossible to say that a child will not go to school to be educated, uh, how the idea of homeschooling even came to your mind?
Okay. So it's a very, I won't say that this is something which came naturally to me. I would say this thing came out of sheer serendipity. Like, I honestly, when I started homeschooling my son, my firstborn, I didn't know there was a thing like homeschooling. But the only reason I actually pulled him out of school, because he went to school for 1 year, like in playgroup, and then I pulled him out and I started homeschooling him. And for first year, I didn't know that I was actually homeschooling him. I thought that I would put him in back in school after a year. The thing is that I myself, I come from a very educational background. Like, my parents, my mother and my father, both are teachers. So in our home, in our household, education meant school. So you can very well imagine how hard it must have been for me, because my parents, like, they are very, very involved parents. Like, every single day, my mother, she is in conversation with me. She would ask me, okay, what kids are doing. So education has been a very, very important thing for us. However, I would say I found a lot of things wrong with the conventional or traditional schooling system. A child's whole worth is actually attached to his accolades, his, like, the certificates the child is having, the grades the child is having. I did really well in school myself, but my brother, it was a whole other case, honestly. Like, he had an immense pressure on him that he was a son of two teachers and he was not doing well in school. I saw him getting beaten up by my mother, by my father. He was being scolded constantly. He was being compared with me, like your sister is doing great and you are not doing well. Although I myself throughout I went to public schools while he was going to private schools. And private education in Pakistan here, if you are going to send your children to good private school, it means that you're going to pay hefty amount for that. So my parents did their best, but despite that, he was actually not doing well in school. So I saw a lot of trauma there in that way. And as a child, honestly, like I had that thing inside me. I think I was a mother even when I was a child myself. Like I loved little children, and I was a very empathetic, kind, sensitive kid who would, notice every single thing. And not only that, I saw there was something wrong with our traditional schooling system. There was something wrong with our parenting system as well, which was highly conditional. Like I would love you if you do this, and I would punish you if you do that. It was all about, control. So I somehow didn't want to be that kind of mother when I got married. Even before becoming a mother, I somehow had that little bit of clarity, like how I'm going to raise my children. I didn't have that clear roadmap. I didn't know that there's a thing like homeschooling, which so aligns with the values I had back then. But there was something inside me which knew that there is a better way of educating children and there's a better way of raising children. And Alhamdulillah, I got married pretty young, became mother pretty young. And after I became mother, I started working on my parenting. And I learned a lot of things, right from Alfie Kohn's, he's a writer basically who has worked on unconditional parenting. He has some amazing books. They're all about rewards and consequences and punishments, the very thing which is being used in households and in schools as well. If you do something good, I will reward you. If you do something bad, I will punish you. This is the B.F. Skinner, the approach which we actually use to discipline children in school and in household as well. So I learned a lot from that. Then I started learning about conscious parenting from Dr. Shafali Sabai, who is from Canada, and a lot of other things. And when I kept on learning those things, it became clear to me that schooling system somehow didn't align with that, especially in Pakistan. Most of the schools, I know you're living in a different country, so obviously it would be a very different story there. I can surely compare your public schools to Pakistan's private schools. And again, I would say that those kind of private schools, they're very defined and also not everyone can afford that. So the kind of schools we have over here, they are very, 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 they have, kind of discipline, that the system they have, the education system that they have, that's not diverse. That is actually made for very few children. Like are only a few children who can fit well in that system, who can do well in that system, and all of the other children who are actually intelligent. Because I strongly believe that the Creator has made every single child number one, but our system just divides them number one, number two, number three. There are only going to be three students who will be number one, number two, and number three. But Allah has made every child number one. So there were a lot of things which were not actually aligning with the way I wanted to parent my children at that time. And also, like when I sent my child to school, which was my son, I saw that he was actually not liking school at all. Also, as I told you, that I know a lot about human psychology, I was very much interested in that. Before becoming a mother, I started learning about psychology of a child. So what I learned about different things a child's psychology, one of the things which is very, very important here is that structure before the age of 7 in a child's life is not a very good thing. We know that Islamic psychology even, talks very explicitly about it, that before the age of 7, you shouldn't have much structure in your child's life. The more a child is free, the more time you spend with that child, the more social situations and social, things like social events, I would say, you introduce your child to, the better it is for child. Physical health, for child's physical health, a lot of physical play that is necessary. Then a lot of reading, read aloud to your children. So a lot of such things. And I was already doing all of those things. So yeah, when I saw that I was paying really big amount to the schools and my son was not loving it, I could see that his sleep was suffering. He had that social anxiety, and he wasn't learning much, to be very honest, from the school. And yeah, so that's when I decided that I would pull my son out of the school and I would just wait for another year and maybe then I'll send him back. That's how it
Okay.
started actually. And then when I pulled him out of school, I got to know from one of my friends who was my fellow coach back then, who was a therapist as well. She was living in Canada at that time, and she was homeschooling her kids, and she had some like teenage kids. So she said to me, I discussed it with her, and she said to me, "Why don't you homeschool your son?" And I was like, "What is homeschooling?" Then she shared a few resources with me, and I went through those resources, and that was the time I decided, okay, this is for me, and I'm gonna go for it. So yeah, that's how it started.
Okay. And actually, this is what my next question going to be. That what was a bigger motivation being in Pakistan? Was it the financial savings that you could do, or was it more about uh, your children's psychology and what works best for them?
Honestly, it was not about money at all. Like, although obviously I was able to save some money, and at that time I remember we were going through some financial crisis as well. But for me, like my relationship with my children always comes first. If something is compromising that relationship of mine with my child, it's not worth it. And honestly, even if it's school at that time. So yeah, I would say relationship has to be your number one priority. And I see this that parents do compromise on it. Children who are going to school, it's more like you're moving children from one activity to another. Like, okay, get up, get ready, go to school, come back, do your homework or have some rest, take your lunch. Then parents are actually bribing or punishing their children for doing that homework. And then it's Qari Sahib time, the Quran time in Muslim families, and then it's screen time, and then it's sleep time. So it's more like you are just moving children from one activity to another. There's no time for stillness, there's no time for being there with them or have that nurturing conversation or long conversation. It's more about like you're just moving through the day, you're just going through the day, you're just checking that list, tick, 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 tick. And yeah, there's nothing like real connection that is lacking, that is truly lacking in parents and children for the kids who are going to school. And there might be exceptions, but honestly, overall, it's just like this. Parents have very little influence on their children because they don't share that connection with their children.
So, Amna, we have some idea about how does a typical school day looks like, or even how the activities are at home. So, like there is a morning chaos, of course. Wake up or try to wake up early in the morning. Then getting the breakfast done with the kids is a challenge, and then of course sending them over to school. How does a typical homeschooling day looks like?
Honestly, it's very calm. We get to fulfill our sleep because I'm a lot, along with what I'm doing, I'm a lot into fitness and health. Like if I
Mhm.
wouldn't have been a coach, I would have been a health coach or a fitness, coach. That's what I would say. And we also know this that, the most important wealth we have is our health, and that gets neglected in everything we are doing. Like we don't pay attention to it, and sleep is one of those things which is so important. And I've seen it that for children who are going to school at the age of 4, at the age of 3, at the age of 5, because of parents poor planning, the children are not getting enough sleep, and that is somehow impacting them on cellular level. So yeah,
Mhm.
how does our day look like? Like we actually sleep little late, you can say, not very late, but yes, we sleep late, and then we wake up late, little late than people usually do. But yes, we do have obviously a routine. Then we wake up and then we have breakfast together. And after that, like I usually work out. I'm a gym person, so my daughter would be, she would keep coming to me. So they're actually witnessing everything I'm doing. One more thing with homeschooling is that you have to become the kind of person you actually want your children to be. So you need to work a lot on yourself. So if I'm their primary influence, I need to become that positive influence for them. So she
Mhm.
sees me, and also she sometimes would, and mostly she would lift some weights. I have some weights for her as well, like some small dumbbells, pink ones, which she can lift with me. She does those things with me. And also she's learning gymnastics and she's doing MMA along with my son. So she would do some practice of that with me. And then my son, like he's also into like I actually drag him into gym, although he doesn't like it, but yes, that's what he would do. And after having like breakfast and doing the gym, and then we would sit for a while sometimes. And then he works on his projects. Like my son, he's actually into front end development. Honestly, I don't know much about it, but he's currently doing some courses from Net Ninja and things like that. So he would sit on his laptop and do that. And my daughter, she has different interests obviously. She's basically more of an artist, so yeah, she would do something like that. And I really read at that time. Like I love reading, and yeah, this is a norm in our house. You would find books in the gym, you would find books in the living room, you would find books in the drawing room, in the car, everywhere we have books available. So yeah, we would read, everyone would read. And then afterwards, after offering or asr, we go for a walk from asr to maghrib, like we spend time in nature. So yeah, we
Mhm.
go for a family walk. Sometimes my husband company, sometimes he doesn't, but I make sure that I'm taking kids along. So at that time, I go for a brisk walk, and my daughter, she really interacts with other children out there in the park. And my son plays cricket with his fellows, like with his friends. And then we come back, we offer maghrib, and then we have food. And then again, it's little family time, you can say. We all sit together, we just talk, and then we move on to our sort of nighttime routine. So yeah, and then again we connect. Like my daughter and I, we extensively we have long conversations, and my son and my husband, they have long conversations. And then I'm a journaling person, I'm a reading person, I'm a meditation person. I would do all of those things in my corner of the room. And my daughter, she is because she's more towards arts, so she would do something related to that. Maybe she would draw, sketch, or anything, or meanwhile she can listen to some audiobook or something like that. And then
Mhm.
she would our corner, and then we both come to bed, and then we read for some time, and then we talk and talk and talk, and then we sleep. So that is how it goes.
So, this is actually very interesting. So, how would you comment on this? Is this a fixed hour activity, or your homeschooling is actually from the time you wake up and until you go back to bed?
I think homeschooling, I won't even, honestly, I've stopped calling myself a homeschooling mother. Like I say that we are unschooling family, to be very honest. And
Okay.
I think that when people say to me, my friends were like, all of them, their children are actually going to really good schools, means
Mm.
expensive schools. They would say, why don't you get your children admitted to a school? And I actually say to them every single time that they're going to the school of life. So yeah, you can say that. Like homeschooling is not like the moment when you're sitting and you're reading and you're writing. It's happening all the time. What is school? Like learning. Learning is happening all the time. When we are having conversations, deep conversations, when I'm actually dealing with one of their conflicts, when we are having a conflict and I'm trying to manage it in a positive way, when both of my children are having conflicts and I'm trying to just intervene and just helping them with how to resolve that particular conflict. When my husband and I are having a conflict and they are seeing us, like how parents are resolving their conflict. Every single experience is a learning. When guests come over, like how do you respond? How do you behave when you are hit by a struggle or roadblock or anything? Like how do you deal with that? So it's more like every single thing we are doing, that is a learning, that is a school.
So it is not like a typical school day where, let's say, at home you start at 9 or 10 a.m. and then it goes all the way to 3 or 4 p.m. But it is a day long activity, and it has a natural flow. Okay, so how do you make sure that the children are achieving their yearly learning goals, which eventually would be required because they have to go to GCSE, ONA levels, or um, whatever other exam boards are available in the country? So, how do you make sure that whatever grade they're supposed to be in, they're achieving the relevant goals?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. Honestly speaking, when I started off as a homeschooler, I had that FOMO, the fear of missing out. I had syllabus from 3, 4 different schools. I would have it in front of me. They were all scattered, and I'm just looking, okay, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to do. And that is how I will take it along. Like we will have a fixed time, 2 to 3 hours, not more than that, honestly. And for children under 7 years, you actually need only 30 minutes of your day. If you give that undivided attention to your child, under the child under 7 years, you can actually teach all of those things like the basic operations of addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and reading and writing of English. So that is what is required under the age of 7. Like by the age of 7, your children should be able to, if they want to even go to school later on, they should be able to do all of these things, which you can teach at home in just 30 minutes of undivided attention, which you give to your children, right? So afterwards, like our homeschooling has evolved over the period of time. It hasn't stayed the same. As I told you that when I started off, I had that thing that okay, my children need to be measuring this particular stick, otherwise they might like miss out on something. So I would sit with them. But now over the period of time, since I've exposed them to so many different situations, and also I've worked a lot on my own fear as well. And let me tell you that I myself, I actually studied physics and electronics in my university, and I didn't pursue that as a career. My husband, he went to UET for electrical engineering, and he is working as a businessman. He has his own food cafe. So
Mhm.
these two things actually give me a lot of hope and a lot of faith that we both did what our parents wanted us to do, because we both come from a highly educational background. His mother was a lecturer, his father was working, he was also working like in a government job. So our parents didn't let us do what we actually wanted to do. I myself, I didn't want to study physics, but my parents asked. There are two choices, either doctor or engineer, no third choice available. But when I'm working as a therapist, I'm working as someone like I just love what I do, honestly. And whatever I've learned, it has come to me through my passion for learning, or I wanted to do what I did. I'm doing what I actually wanted to do. And that's why alhamdulillah, I think I'm doing really well in what I'm doing, and I just enjoy it thoroughly. So yeah, and again, as I told about my husband, he was never allowed to do any sort of business because we in our family, no one has ever taken this step. It's all about jobs, 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 jobs. So if he can do what he's doing and I can do what I'm doing without any sort of degree to begin with, and in fact, if I look at the whole stuff, like those years when I went to college or when I went to university, I'm using none of those things in my real life. So I don't have that kind of fear for my children. I know they will find their path. And also, like, I got to explore what I am doing right now later in my life after 19 years, like after spending 19 years of my life. My children are doing what they love doing right from this age. So obviously,
Mhm.
they have so many years left to practice that particular thing. So if they even want to go into the choose that particular thing as a career, their experience will come handy even if they don't have a degree, honestly, to begin with. So I don't define education as a degree or certificate anymore. So yeah, I'm not honestly endorsing it. I'm not saying that everyone should be doing it, but this is my path. Like, I don't have any sort of fear. Like, my degree, my accolades, my certificates, although I'm telling you that I was a very studious student to begin with, not in university anymore, honestly. I did a lot of blunders there, but yes, they are not serving me anymore. They're just there. And for my husband, it's the same case. So, yeah, what is helping us is our passion, our experience, our mistakes, and all the other things which we actually have worked on, like our skills, you can say. So,
So
I think that's going to be the same path for my children.
I have an interesting question for you then. Um,
Okay.
so let's talk about support from the family and the opinion of the family and the people around you. You just mentioned that both you and your husband, you are highly qualified um, from engineering background, which is of course it's not an easy background in any country. Um, highly qualified. Was it not taken as some sort of hypocrisy by the people around you that you yourself are so highly qualified, but you are not letting your children follow the same path?
Wow. It's a very good and deep question, I would say. See, I don't have like I have left it open for my children. Just like let me tell you that my daughter, she wants to go to school now because of several reasons. Because earlier she was younger, like she was little, so her father would take her along everywhere. she would go out with her brother. But now, as she's growing up, that's not the case. Like in Pakistan, environment isn't that friendly. You have to be very careful with that. So she has to most of the time stay with me at home, and I'm not a very socially outgoing person. Like I don't go out much, and I love to stay at home. And because of that, she's having hard time, and she's constantly telling me. And I've asked her, okay, this year we will go for school, we will get you tested, and like I've taken all the details. She wants to go to school, I would obviously send her to school. For my son, that's not the case. He wants to actually have those skills, and he wants to work on that. And honestly speaking, I would like him to handle his father's business in future, because we see there's a lot of potential for growth. Like there is so much he can do there, and in terms of money, in terms of experience, in terms of confidence, you know handling a business alone and building a business alone, it takes a lot of skills out of you. So he has witnessed his father along the way, how he has done all of those things, and he works with him as well, like he helps him as well. So I see him taking on that business, but along with that, he has some side hustle as well. Like as I told you, that he's a lot more interested in IT and stuff like that, and he's working on that as well. So it's both. And for my daughter, she wants to go to school. So it's not that I'm anti schools. No, I've given her that foundation. I've given her that the kind of connection I think that was needed to be built in those early years, those prime years. We have done that, and now she has her own path.
Okay. And I guess this is a very good answer because, again, there are like positives and negatives of everything, right? And I
Exactly.
see a huge positive in this sense that children get to experience what they love at a very early age, and
Exactly.
they're basically able to excel at that at a very early age. And this is how probably the prodigy, kids are actually shaped. They're given the opportunity, given the chance to do something that they really, really like, and excel at it before everyone else. So thank you very much for that. Now let's move into the technology uh, and AI part of things because
Yes.
it's my favorite subject, and that's also the topic of the overall podcast. So generative AI, ChatGPT. Do you feel threatened? Do you think AI is going to take over your children?
Wow. Again, it's a very interesting question. I myself, honestly, am so fascinated by AI, although I discovered it a way late than other people around. Like I am someone who really doesn't receive any idea right away. I take my time and I just analyze, and then I see, okay, okay. And I was little skeptical, honestly, to be very honest, at the very beginning. Okay, maybe like what is this and all of that. But I see that obviously AI has taken over a lot of roles in our children's and in our own lives as well. But I don't see it taking it over everything. Like there are some things which AI can do obviously better than humans, honestly speaking. And there are so many things which AI cannot do better. Humans are still the significant ones. I hope I'm understanding your question right and right way or not. Like,
So what I basically meant was, so since ChatGPT has become very, very popular, right, and everyone is using it, so um, people are in fear right now that it is going to take over everything, and teachers are worried and concerned that they're basically going to take over their jobs. Pretty much every professional is worried. Do you have fears when it comes to AI and the takeover of AI? Do you think that the children at an early age, children especially who are being homeschooled, which means that also means that they have more time for themselves in some ways, um, they would have uh, more influence of ChatGPT or LLMs on them, especially a negative one.
no, honestly, I don't see it that way. I think it's very important, just like any other tool, just like when we got mobile phones. Yeah, one thing I actually am really worried about that is that when any convenience gets added into our lives, We just
Mhm.
accept it right away, and we think that this is the best thing which has happened to us, just like any other thing. Like, although ChatGPT or AI, it's a whole other thing, and it's a big phenomenon. But I'm talking about, every single thing, just like when we started having machines, blenders, food blenders,
Right.
a flour kneading machine, and all of those conveniences, when they got added to our lives, we thought that, okay, now we can have more time. But what did we actually do with that time? And again, we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made our bodies, created our bodies in a way that they are supposed to move in order to be functional. And we somehow lost that functionality. We lost that health, that vitality along with those things. Now, what I see here is that with AI, we are losing that mind, like brain functionality. We are not using our brains anymore. We are solely relying on chat gpt and all the such AI, like, artificial intelligence. We are just relying on that. So this fear is that the way we are well receiving it and the way we are using it, it's a wonderful tool. It can really help us in a lot of things, but at the same time, we need to make sure that we are taking it with a pinch of salt, like we are actually
Mm.
learning how to use it for our own good, and we don't just compromise on that thing. Like, just the way, as I said, that our body needs to keep moving, our brain also needs to keep working. And I can see that people are already having a lot of cases of dementia, Alzheimer's, and I don't know, like, I'm a lot into such things. Like, I read a lot about health articles and challenges and everything. So these things are going to increase. People are going to have that memory loss issues, distraction, brain fog, and a lot of things which are actually associated with it if we don't use it the right way. But again, if we know how to use it and we have that sort of discipline and awareness and intention, it's a wonderful tool. It's life changing, I would say. So, yeah, it's all about balance. Nothing is good or bad, it's how we use it.
So, do you think parents who are homeschooling their children, is it important for them to understand LLMs and generative AI for the sake of homeschooling itself?
Obviously, I think it's a wonderful tool. You can actually, I remember it was a big struggle for me, like the way I want to, like, in homeschooling, I don't want to take homeschooling in a way where I'm just teaching my children those same subjects which are being taught in school. If you're homeschooling them, you can give them a variety of subjects and a lot of other things. They need to learn about the whole world. Honestly, the whole world is their more like the whole world is their school, so they can pick and choose. Okay, they want to go for geography, they want to go for some other subject, like, again, astronomy. And we know that finding tutors and teachers and well informed people, especially in my area here in Pakistan, for such subjects, it's hard, and especially such tutors who can actually teach kids of this age. So AI has made things a lot easier for us. And also, let me tell you that my children, they are learning German for last 2 years from obviously the same thing, AI. And I'm so grateful for that. Otherwise, it would have been so, I would say, not even difficult. It would have been impossible for them to learn what they are learning right now. Uh, wouldn't it have been AI?
Okay, that is a very interesting take, of course, and yes, AI can be very helpful for the children themselves. But uh, if we talk about future, let's say 5 to 10 years, how do you imagine homeschooling is going to evolve because of AI? Do you see anything changing because of this?
Obviously, I see a lot of positive changes, in fact, because when
Mhm.
you are using AI for your own good, again, as I said, that children can learn different languages. We know
Mhm.
now about AI tutors. There is so much which I really cannot even honestly mention here. So, homeschooling is going to be a lot more easier, I would say. Parents would have to struggle less, like, and we know that children learn far more better when they are having that interactive, the visual representation of something, which is so possible now with AI. Instead of, again, I'm not denying here the importance of a mentor and a tutor. Obviously, AI cannot replace human beings, that's not possible, but yes, it can be a good, a supplementary thing, or it can be a good addition to that. So mentorship, tutorship along with AI, it's a wonderful thing. And again, Parents can be that mentor for their children, and it can be another person as well. But obviously, AI is very, very helpful in homes.
Have you been surprised by your children when it comes to the use of AI? Have they surprised you by showing you something that was basically based on AI and you had absolutely no idea how did that work?
Obviously, I'm a very naive person. I was a very naive, and I still am when it comes to using AI and technology and all of that. So my son, like, he would surprise me. Like, at I, oh, like in Urdu, it's like, nahi hoga, like it won't happen. I like you don't know, like I know. And then he would type something, and then he will come up with the solution. And I would be like, I mean, really, how intelligent it is, and stuff like that. And the same goes for my daughter. Like many a times, she has surprised me with like just like she actually designs in Canva. She loves Canva. She loves making her own poetry books, and she would type it there. She would just make it turn into reality. So just the very thing she's thinking in her mind, and
Mhm.
the kind of the poetry like she has written by herself using her own mind. So now the depiction of that poetry in a visual representation and in a visual in a video. So she has surprised me so many times using that, Canva AI. What
Are
can
there any yes? So
Mhm.
are there any AI tools that you have used or that have helped in your homeschooling journey so far? It could be anything.
Yes, we are using Duolingo,
Okay.
and then we are using ChatGPT. Then there was another one like Hopscotch Stories. Basically, she is a teacher from UK
Hmm.
who helps children create their own books, and she has her own website platform as well where they let children practice with AI tools. So yeah, we are using 3 to 4 of those. And then
Okay.
yes, Canva AI.
Okay, of course. And I guess it is very important also from, from a visual perspective, because it can get a lot done, I guess, presentations, videos, etc. Um, what is that one subject, in your opinion, that you think AI can teach really, really well? It could be a subject, it could be a skill that you think AI can perform very, very well in as a tutor compared to a human being.
I think that is when it comes to linguistics, like if you are
Hmm.
learning a language, obviously AI can help you a lot better than again, in terms of cost, in terms of your personalized practice,
Hmm.
in terms of everything. So I would prefer an AI tool over a real human in that
Okay.
perspective.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is that one subject or skill where you think AI cannot really do even, remotely closer to a human being, and you would most likely always need someone like a human to teach or
I
train on
wouldn't
that?
say honestly, I wouldn't say it's a subject, but yes, a skill. That is the most important skill, and that is going to become scarce and scarce with the passage of time. That is our communication skills. The way we
Mm.
deal with people, the way we interact with people, the eye contact, you think like I honestly see it again as my career as a therapist, like people, teenagers, they do struggle with having a conversation, an eye to eye conversation. They can make that eye contact, their body language, you know, the choice of words, they don't have that stress resilience. We know that in real conversations, in real relationships, we need that pushback. We get that pushback, just like chat gpt or any other AI tool. That person is not going to validate you all the time. You're not going to get appreciation and all that positivity which you get from chat gpt from real people. So children are going to lack that stress resilience, which is so necessary in our emotional health, in the way we connect with people, in the way we form and maintain our relationships. So this is one of the major things which I really, along with the lack of critical skills with children, if we do rely too much, it's a comfort, and we really, humans need discomfort in their life, right? So if we are relying too much on these tools, we are going to lack these two things for sure: stress resilience, like real communication skills, which, and yeah, so yeah, and like
Okay.
critical thinking.
Okay. So, Amna, uh, as the last question for today's podcast, and to wind this amazing discussion, what is that one advice that you would give to homeschoolers, to parents, especially when it comes to the use of AI in homeschooling?
Hmm. I would say that children are going to spend some time on screen anyway. Like every single child, we can deny it. Screens are the new realities. We don't need to, and we shouldn't be making it a forbidden fruit for our children. We rather need to teach them how to use it for their own good. And if children are going to spend time on screens anyway, why not use it for using AI for their own good? Instead of children playing stupid games or video games which don't serve them in any single way, or just passively consuming content in form of, cartoons or stuff like that. There are tools right from very young age which children of young age can use for their own good, for improving their critical skills, for just mental maths. There's so much out there. Honestly, I'm not an expert in this field. You better know about this thing. So I would say to parents, like, first of all, get aware yourself, learn what this AI thing is. So learn how to use it for your own good, and then impart that very important skill in your children so that they can use it for their own good, so they can benefit from it. It's a wonderful tool. Again, I would say it's how we use it, and we need to make ourselves, get ourselves equipped with this particular skill of using it for our own good.
Okay. Thank you very much, Amna. It was a pleasure
My pleasure.
having you here, and some really good questions that were answered. So thank you very much for that. And yes, homeschooling is on the rise. And now, as a personal comment on this, quite honestly, I've also been thinking about it for some time. So of course, with time, I'm sure you would be able to help someone like me and others who are watching this podcast,
Why not?
um, guiding them how to
I
homeschool
appreciate your
children.
interest. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Amna. Once again, I really appreciate
Thank
your
you.
presence, and we will connect in future podcasts. Thank you
Thank
very
you so
much.
much for having me. Inshallah. See you. Take care. Allah Hafiz.